Initially, when the team got together, we kind of decided that we wanted a lot of fast-paced action game, a lot of explosions, a lot of firepower.
The other thing we, the designers, wanted was that the game had to be fairly unique, innovative in some kind of way.
Rapid Fire has a fairly simple concept. So you have two opposing colors and you have to be in the right color at the right time to avoid damage and stuff.
In order to make our game, we decided to take the color switch mechanic and do it in the format of a twin-stick shooter.
So what we had here was like just one idea, and the idea we keep repeating over again. Once we decided what kind of game we wanted, the next thing was to solidify the idea, the core mechanics of the game, and we had to do it in a really short time period. We did something called rapid prototyping.
Yeah, we just keep playing different iterations of the game again and again until we find what's fun.
So once you get a core mechanic in, it was kind of easy for us. So we kind of knew what we really wanted, the absorbing, the switching, and we can just really focus on designing the levels itself. We just invite people in to play test the levels. So the levels are pretty vague, there's no much hints, and we just let the players see whether they get lost or anything, and we just keep improving on the puzzles itself.
The whole game revolves around blue and orange, so the environment has to not compete with those two colors.
The main character of our game is called Steve Rocket. He's an arrogant, douchebag-looking guy. We got our inspiration from Tyler Durden, so he don't actually have to carry any weapons. He just needs to do this, and then a hologram will appear as a weapon. That's the technology he stole from the company he infiltrated.
It has to be always fantastic, over the top. Why take the stairs when you can fly? Why take the lift when you can teleport? We had to take one step further than anything else.
At first, all the enemies have the same model, so it's very hard to tell them apart from each other. So we decided to make every enemy have a unique silhouette that will enable the players to tell them apart.
You have to tell it very clearly from a top-down view.
So we needed to end the game in a huge panic. And the only way we could think of for a single-player campaign was to have a big, epic boss fight. So the character guys came out with this huge, big guy, muscular, carrying all the weapons from all the enemies.
After the single-player campaign, we actually have a co-op mode, and that brings us to the second character design, which is Richard Johnson. And Richard Johnson is the direct opposite personality of Steve Rocket.
Our team had to use Source SDK to do the game, and when we decided that we had to do a top-down shooter game, we feel that the Alien Swarm SDK tools is quite appropriate for our designers, artists and programmers to use.
The AI has to be believable, but it cannot take up too much system resources when you're running all the AI thinking for the enemies. So we have to cater how believable we want the AI to be and how fun it is for the player to attack the AI. Because our game is more arcadey, so the AI doesn't have to be very complex, but it has to put up enough challenge for the players, and it cannot make the game too hard also. And there's a lot of explosions and there's a lot of animation and enemies on screen. So we'll have to make sure that the AI doesn't take too much of the processing power.
For the animation side, we have to take into considerations the different enemies' movement and attack patterns. For this, we have to work closely with the designers and artists so that we can have the right feel for the game. And also our main character, we need to have smooth animation blending so that when the player controls the main character, you have a good feel about it and not to struggle with the controls. Early on in our production phase during planning, we already decided that multiplayer is going to be a core feature for the game. We don't want to have just a single player experience because people want to play with the game with each other. Some of the issues with multiplayer is mainly latency issues and the game doesn't sync with each other. So these are the issues that we need to solve, and I guess we just solve it as it comes along.
We actually had quite a bit of time and effort invested in the area of particle effects. We had exploding props, we had the bullets, the lasers and other feedback to the player.
We're trying to go for the early 80s kind of an action movie over the top feel to it, where a lot of explosions going on, a lot of effects are happening. Due to the engine limitation and time constraint, we have to tone it down a bit and just like a few props to explode, which the designer will just place in strategic position so that when the player comes in and starts shooting, explosions will occur and everything will look cool.
Stone is a third-person shooting strategy game where the player as the main hero has this unique ability to draw spirit energy, gather them from the environment, and manipulate them to channel up rocks from the environment into towers to fight for him.
We have 11 people on our team and we have 5 months accomplished this project. We were researching for game ideas and we came about this third-person shooting strategy game, and we thought it was a pretty good idea and we wanted to recreate it and put it into a fantasy environment.
One interesting aspect of our game is that our environment features a dynamic environment. A dynamic environment is one where the environment actually changes the mood and feel in accordance with the game progress.
At first, we actually thought about a lot of choice like cities, futuristic, but eventually we choose forests because we think forests have a lot of challenges for us, something we can work on.
The main character design was initially a 10-year-old boy. The designers wanted a young boy to survive in this forest jungle environment. We found that he was actually too young to survive in such an environment, so we actually increased his age. Now he's sturdier, he's more agile. The designers also wanted a few things in the character's design. One being a hood. He has to have a crossbow, which we actually made it a magical-like crossbow attached to his arm. Initial designs for the enemies were based on monitor lizards. Since they're called shades, the base color we chose was black. We also chose tints of purple to bring out the evil colors of the design. Those color schemes and all, we actually brought it forward to the boss design as well.
When the Guardians sets were given to me by the artist, it came in 3 different parts. So there was the base, the torso and the head. For the Guardians, there are 3 different types of upgraded Guardians. They are the Red Guardians, the Green Guardians and the Blue Guardians. So for each different types of Guardians, we need to differentiate them so that player will be able to tell the difference. So we used color schemes and we had rotating the runes to differentiate them accordingly.
We have 4 types of enemies in our game. Mainly there are big lizards and big spiders, small lizards and small spiders. Originally the big spider and the small spider were designed alike to just simply go towards the spirit stone and perform a suicide attack on it. But we found that this was too monotonous through playtest. So we took the bigger spider and we tried to give it more aggressive behavior to match the way it looks. The small lizard was, like Ten mentioned, it's designed to look agile and sleek and fast. So we gave it behavior to just come towards the player and surprise the player and jump at it and explode.
The engine that we use is called the Source engine. We actually use the Alien Swarm version of it. It has a very robust physics engine, but the issue with that version was that it had very little documentation. So we spent a lot of time at the start looking online, but in the end we found that we had to discover it for ourselves.
The Source engine may provide the source code, but not all of it is open to us.
One good thing about the Alien Swarm engine is that they provide a very good set of optimization tools which help me to optimize our game.
If you looked at the game, we have a hero who is with the player looking at it from a third-person over-the-shoulder view. So what we had to do was that we had to agree on an animation cycle that has the player face forward at all times so he doesn't have to worry about where he's shooting. Now the challenge here is that we had to do this for all 48 different animations that must be blended together to create an entire animation cycle.
The boss is done slightly differently from the rest of the enemies. After all, he has 3 different attacks. He has a melee attack, a range attack, and quick attack. This is the special attack where the projectile curves around the screen and it does some explosions. So it's actually quite intimidating for the player.
In the escort level, we have implemented this pacing AI, which determines the difficulty experienced by the player based on the player's skill. So I have to write a logger to actually record what is happening in the map when the player is playing. We tested it out with a lot of play testers and it generated a lot of data. After getting this data, we have to sift through and find out what's the factor that actually determines the player's skill. Once we have found it out, we tested it out on a few play testers and, well, we isolated that one. We found that it works out quite well.